Hello everyone, this is Erik, the Asian movie enthusiast, and this is my review of Dark Nuns, a Korean horror movie from 2025 that stars Song Hye-kyo. This is actually a spin-off to The Priests from 2015. I did enjoy The Priests, so I had some positive expectations going into this one, since it's connected, even though it was made by a different director. The following plot synopsis was taken from the website Blood Brothers Films. Sister Junia, played by Song Hye-kyo, is a nun who finds herself in the presence of a possessed young boy when the Catholic Church turns a blind eye, shrugging the whole incident off as a psychological issue that should be solved by therapy and meds. Sister Junia takes it upon herself to betray the Church's wishes. She seeks out help from a fellow nun, Sister Michaela, and this exorcism is intended to be performed by the nuns, and that act is considered unethical as proper procedures are not being followed according to their religious infrastructure and the way things are generally regulated. So these nuns take the demonic battle into their own hands. The opening scene gives us a taste of things to come. It's a standard exorcism attempt, or kind of a half exorcism scene. Song Hye-kyo tosses an entire bucket of holy water over a possessed young man to kind of contain the demon, and instructs another guy, a man of the cloth, to assist her with ringing bells and saying prayers. She's rubbing like cross signs on the dude's forehead and everything. The demon taunts her with vulgarities, as usual, typical stuff. After that, some of the priests decide that the requested exorcism is not necessary, relying instead on psychiatry and medication, as the plot synopsis suggested. So it's not like they immediately order an exorcism all the time, right? There's an extensive procedure that needs to go into place here, protocols that are designed for assessment and approval. Also, nuns do not typically have authority to perform exorcisms anyways, so the requests that our protagonist is making here are kind of out of bounds. Also, our lady protagonist does have some serious health issues, which are communicated early on. Her personality is a bit more confrontational and straightforward, a little sassy, which, annoys some of the other characters. In her defense, though, she wants to get this exorcism approved and successfully executed as quickly as possible in order to save the young man. There are some references to the priests in this movie at certain points, but the story is very basic and cliché and mostly standalone. You could probably predict most of what is going to happen in this movie before it actually occurs. And despite our protagonist having an attitude, there's not much bite or true intensity to anything story-wise or character-wise. They also introduce a few little things, but do not fully develop them later on. So, really, in a nutshell, Dark Nuns is pretty bland in regard to characters and story. It's also deliberately paced with a runtime of almost 2 full hours, and that does not help matters. But maybe the scares can save it. Maybe they can. In terms of horror, there are a few creepy images and scenes involving a death by hanging. They do mix in some shamanism as well, along with the Christian stuff, which is fairly common in Korean films of this kind. They like to mix both together, which gives it a little bit of differentiation from like your typical American exorcism movie. Lots of slow burn moments that rely on creepiness, a few of which are effective, like the nuns walking through like a foggy natural environment. I like that scene. However, there is a lack of visceral intensity, which is something we would typically want from an exorcism movie. These movies are supposed to be a little bit more, confrontational and like disturbing, right? And that is a problem because this film does not really distinguish itself very much from all of the other exorcism movies that already exist. We've seen this stuff like a million times before. The finale, to its defense, is quite lengthy, but it's really typical exorcism stuff. The demons acting all high and mighty, doing long monologues about how great it is, insulting the protagonist while he's strapped to a bed. At one point, one of the ladies has to run to a church some distance away to ring a bell, a huge bell, like 3 times in order to, as part of this procedure, to get rid of this demon. And that was like a great opportunity to really give us like an exciting final sequence of her trying to make her way to this bell, But they just kind of go like a basic route again, resulting in another aspect that could be described as merely okay. That's what this movie is. It's merely okay, right? Production values are good. The nighttime shots use some orange and blue lighting. Always a fan of lighting at night. I mention it in almost every review if it's there. The acting is good. No bad performances to speak of. But at the end of the day, Dark Nuns is just very cliché. I'm probably not going to watch this movie again. I actually own The Priests on physical media because despite that movie having its generic qualities, it had just enough punch to it and entertainment value to warrant repeat viewings, and I do watch it on occasion. I also recently purchased Exuma on Blu-ray, another more recent Korean horror movie, mostly for its intensity, entertainment value, and a few little unexpected moments in there. So, I feel like Dark Nuns just lacks those aspects. It doesn't have enough punch to it. So, unfortunately, I do not recommend this one. I don't. But if you're interested in giving it a shot, it's currently available streaming on YouTube. So what did you think of this one? Did you think it was good enough? Do you think it's as good as The Priests or not? Let me know. And as always, folks, I'll see you next time.